We know that surfers spend around 55% of their time paddling when they're in the surf. So even though it's not scored, it has a major contribution to performance. Paddle to Podium was a project that was initiated maybe 4 years ago now when Paris 2024 got announced and the location of Chopu. Feedback from the surfers was that they couldn't paddle fast enough into that wave to optimize performance. And that's where we collaborated with our stakeholders, so Griffith University as a main collaborator, AIS and the Queensland Academy of Sport.
The multi-collaboration we had was a big part, so we were able to really pull from the expertise of researchers as well as pull from actually working within the sport. So I think that was a really big one, and that was testament to every person from every different area that was able to work on the project.
All our research up to this point had been concentrated on male surfers. We only had one paper on female surfers. So it was a really targeted research project towards female performance. We broke it down into stages. So our first phase was we wanted to just explore the importance of sprint paddling performance. And that was speaking to coaches, athletes, all of our performance support team. We brought on board 2 PhD students, Sienna Gosney and April Denny, in conjunction with Griffith University, who've been instrumental to the project. And Sienna was more concentrated on phase 2. So we explored the importance of sprint paddling. We knew it was going to be central to performance, and that had never been done in surfing before.
It really started off in hey, we want to look at the actual biomechanics, the joint angles of how a sprint paddler sprint paddles, I guess. We had to kind of break down and really take away from that 3D, 2D kinematics because it was almost impossible to complete in an aquatic environment. So yeah, it really changed from a kinematic biomechanic focus and went a little bit more down the track of what can we do in the gym, what can we do with our technique, and how is that going to impact sprint paddling.
So Sienna did a great job in really diving deep into what the key characteristics were, and that helped inform phase 3, which April Denny led.
The beginning of the training intervention actually started on the Sunshine Coast, training with Keely Andrew. Really special to do the case study because I was able to work one-on-one with an athlete of such high level. We had about 6 developmental athletes, so ages ranging from 11 to 16.
And then April Denny was like, how do we train this and actually improve our female surfers?
It was pretty incredible. We have Glenn Workman on the strength and conditioning team at Surfing Australia, and he actually had previously been a strength and conditioning coach for Tommy Fraser-Holmes, who was a Swimming Australia athlete and now a coach through Griffith University. So specifically, we were looking at that catch of the water and then that increased reach that a lot of female athletes lack in their paddling performance.
We really called on him because he was a swimmer, so professional swimmer at the Olympics, and he's also still a swim coach, and he loves surfing. It's kind of a really good crossover of worlds between looking at stroke technique but also relating to surfers. We were learning from him just as much as we were learning from the research process we were doing.
So all this was done in a very, very short period of time for a project. We had the deadline of our Olympic camp, which was ran at the end of 2023. And that was the last time we were going to see our Olympians before Paris.
We had all 4 Olympians there at the Olympic camp, and Tommy was there to help demonstrate and really bring this all to life.
Ethan Ewing, after the Olympic camp, he said one of his highlights from the entire camp was doing that paddle session.
Honestly, working with Tommy Fraser-Holmes was brilliant. I thought his brain was brilliant. I thought his approach was brilliant. I use the paddle all the time. I think it's a great paddle. I think it's something that needs to be looked at and explored more. And I think the Paddle Podium program has done that.
Tyler ended up doing about a month's intervention with Tommy Fraser-Holmes in actually improving her sprint paddling technique and then speed.
So I think she really wanted to go actually watch what was happening, see what was happening in the project and see some of the outcomes and go, actually, I think this would be useful for me.
sometimes in those details, it kind of does give you like a little bit like of like, oh, I can flex on this a little bit. Like in this moment, I can actually like definitely like expand and be like, no, I'm fine. Like I've got this, or like, and you've got that in your kind of like toolkit.
When Tyler Wright actually in her post-heat interview in Paris highlighted the importance it had played, and that for me was probably one of the proudest moments of the project, that at that most elite level, the value it had. And then obviously if someone like Tyler, who's two-time world champion, values that kind of spreads down the whole pathway, and has ignited the other girls' passion to kind of really focus in on this area.
To be able to watch the Olympics and know that I was just maybe a small piece of the puzzle, but that I played a role is incredible and something I'll never forget and always be proud of. And then to watch one of our athletes get as far as the silver medal was pretty fun.
This was a unique collaboration between 4 organizations. We worked extremely closely with probably the major partner in Griffith University with this. We really couldn't have done it without them, and that, they're already very focused around female athlete research. It's still surprising that only 6% of research is solely done in the female athlete. So the fact that this research project from 4 years ago came to everything that we'd planned actually had a direct impact on our Olympians. For us, that was a really successful project. And now the final phase is phase 4, in which it's how we sustain the outcomes of that research. Anything we do is always for the athlete. That's the central point. So how can we help support the athlete? But actually as well, how can this research and applied research from the high performance setting actually have a long-standing contribution to the sport? So Paddle to Podium is now implemented in our gym programs. Surfers are learning how to paddle when they come into the program. And it's actually been implemented now in our level 1 surf coach course.